Across the English-speaking world, there is a variation in spelling, grammar, and vocabulary in those forms of language. But whose standards are they in the English language education? So today, we will be discussing about English standards and standard English. Welcome to our first lesson episode in language program and policies in multilingual society. I am your teacher, Sir Vaughn. This is a lesson made easy TV. To another video lesson entitled Standard English or English Standards. Whose standards are they in English language education? Today's lesson objectives are: examine the spread of English model, define language variation, differentiate Pidgin and Creole, know the language standardization and its criteria. English language is considered the global language. It is powerful and influential language. David Nunan presented a vignette on how English emerged as global language. In Latin America, English as official language communication within the corporation. In Thailand, Chinese and Thai engineers use English as medium of communication during the construction of dam. In Philippines, Pope addresses the faithful in English. And in southern China, English present the written report in Hong Kong's accounting firm. Kachru, 1992, presented a model of world Englishes. It consists of three circles. The first circle is called the inner circle. These refer to the parent countries of English or the colonizing nations that spread the language to different regions of the world, for whom English is the first language in all functions. These are United Kingdom, United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. The next circle is called the outer circle. This is inhabited by the colonized territories in which English is a second or non-native language and used in different functional domains such as government, education, law, and so on. These are Ghana, India, Kenya, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Philippines, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, and Zambia. The next circle is called the expanding circle. This is considered as a foreign language and is used in highly restricted domains such as for international communication. These are China, Egypt, Indonesia, Israel, Japan, Korea, Nepal, Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, USSR, and Zimbabwe. Language variation is a core concept in social linguistics. Variation is a characteristic of language. There is more than one way of saying the same thing. Speakers may vary grammar, pronunciation, and word choice. Observe the two conversation. How are you? Fine, thanks. How are you? Great, thanks. What variations have you noticed? As you can see, the two varieties of English have two different responses on the question presented by the speaker Clyde. With the situation, there is an emergence of language variation, since the language is a lingua franca for trade and other purposes. If language did not vary, there would be no need for standardization. English, melded with local language, leads to the development of Pidgin and Creole. Let us talk about Pidgin and Creole. What is Pidgin? Pidgin is a mixing of language, reduce grammar and vocabulary, develop their own rules and norms of usage, and has no native speaker. Generally speaking, pidgins form in the context of a multicultural population. Historically, this has often happened in areas where multiple groups were trading with each other, or when groups of slaves from various nations were assimilated into a single population and developed a language. Pidgins often borrow words from their source languages and feature a simplified grammar. It's a bare bones language designed to enable minimum viable communication. What is a creole? Creole, as a native speaker, in a language that forms from two parent language merging together into a new language. With enough exposure to one another, people can develop pidgin dialects into languages in their own right. This typically happens when children begin to favor the pidgin dialect over the parent language. Not every pidgin will become a creole, as some relationship between groups do not require more nuanced communication. Some pidgins die out if no one needs to speak them anymore. Some examples of pidgins and creoles are Chinese Pidgin English. For example, too much shi, meaning extremely, kutshi, meaning fetch. Nigerian Pidgin English, aubode, meaning how are you doing today? Creoles, Indislama, alu, meaning hello. Wanenamblong you, meaning what's your name? In Singlish, shiok, meaning great. With language variation, it is important to know how to describe them. A linguist must consider the accent, which is the variation in pronunciation, dialects, which uses different vocabulary, and punctuation, and also grammar style, and also consider its pidgin and creole. Some of us would think, why is there language variation? Well, to communicate efficiently, to have membership markers for social-cultural groups, to have exclusionary device for non-members of those groups, to suit the needs of local communities. Because there was a problem in variation, there was a need for some form of standardization. Language standardization is the process by which conventional forms of a language are established and maintained. Standardization may occur as a natural development of a language in a speech community or as an effort by members of a community to impose one dialect or variety as a standard. With the emergence of standardization, it creates a different effects to language. For instance, before the standardization, spelling made things easy for the writer, but difficult for the reader. But during the standardization, reading process is less burden, while process in writing was more difficult. During the standardization, certain criteria needs to be considered, such as intelligibility, which means mutually comprehensible, appropriateness, meaning what the message is about, whom we address, and what is the mode of communication. Lastly, effectiveness. One can achieve their transactional, interpersonal, and aesthetic goals through language. In a study conducted by David Nunan regarding the Creole Singlish in Singapore, Singapore plus English, it is found out that the use Singlish or Creole help children acquire literacy more easily because of familiarity. Furthermore, standard English enables students to make themselves understood in more international settings. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to hit that notification bell to stay updated to our lesson videos. Another day and learning is capsulized for you to intake and know by heart. I hope you enjoy our class. See you on our next language lesson adventure.